Hi, I'm Flo. I'm the producer of the Great War channel, and I've been working for this channel for 5 years now, since 2014. So this is our Great War 5th anniversary extravaganza thing. Before I start rambling, Jesse of course sends his regards. He is at his home in Vienna, hard at work, doing some research for our upcoming episodes, and he can't be in the studio with us today, but he will be in the studio soon to film more episodes. Anyway, 5 years in internet time is something like 50 years in real time. It's safe to say that when I started this job in 2014, I actually started it 2 weeks before the first episode came up, fun fact. YouTube was a different place, I was a different man, Toni, who sits behind the camera, was different, everything was different. I think this is also the third set by now, and I think it's time to, just recap a few topics and talk a bit about the future of the channel, I think, as well. If you don't want to watch the whole thing of me rambling, I will put time codes in the video description so you can click on the chapters that interest you. I think the first thing that we need to say is thanks. Thanks to everybody who supported the channel over the years. Thanks to whoever person shared our channel on Reddit in 2014, the first time, which is when the show really took off. Thanks to everybody who donated in 2015 when we switched over to Patreon, because otherwise the channel would have ended in 2015 already and I wouldn't sit here. Thanks to everybody who helped doing research, thanks to all the YouTube channels and the other creators that we worked with, thanks to all the museums, thanks to everybody who ever has helped us. Sorry if I didn't mention everyone specifically, that would take quite some time. I mentioned in the beginning that the world and the internet was a very different place in 2014. Something that was also a very different place in 2014 was YouTube as a platform itself. Maybe the veterans among you can remember the time when there was no advertising-friendly guidelines, when your video was just uploaded and you could choose yourself if you want to run ads on it, and there was no arbitrary reasons why you wouldn't make any advertising revenue via YouTube AdWords with it. That changed pretty quickly after we launched the channel, and generally speaking, I think for most other history channels out there, the Great War is doing okay in that regard. I mean, most of our videos have the green checkbox. The actual money we get, by far not the main income that we had over the past 5 years. Now, in 2019, the situation is that, our channel is fine. Though when I'm looking around and see other channels, have a look at other channels and the problems they're having, it seems that it's also just a question of time or a question of whoever is in charge for our channel over at YouTube, that this could change any minute, and this is not a great feeling, especially for history YouTubers like us who make a point about well-researched content, balanced content that is there to educate about things that happened in the past that might have not always been pleasant. It hurts a bit to see this kind of algorithmic court out there, which basically does the Caesar whether you get some more revenue from the videos or not. What does that mean for us as a channel and for us as producers? It means two things. The first thing is that we need to, and I'm not exaggerating, we need to rely on other sources of income. The main source is always Patreon. Patreon.com/thegreatwar if you want to support us. And that has always been the cornerstone of our produce a channel, to keep it running, to keep the lights on in the studio, to finance research, to, for example, what we recently did was deal with the interesting analog bureaucracy of the Kiev National Archives in Ukraine to get some images for our upcoming Russian Civil War episode. These kind of things are only possible because we have money and we have the time to do that. So Patreon is the one thing you can do to keep the show running, to make it better. The other thing for us is that there will be more sponsorships in the future. We had some of these this year already and also in the years prior. Would I like to have a channel which would be completely ad-free? Yes. For an educational channel, that would be a desirable goal. Is it possible at the moment to keep the channel ad-free? No, it's not. With the production costs that the channel have, there will be ads. The money we make from these ads, and by that I mean, placements in front, in the video that you can't ad block. With the money we make from those, we make the channel better. We invested in, studio equipment. We are, for example, bought a new camera, new editing machines after 5 years of working on the old ones. These kind of things are necessary, and for us as a production company, are vital for our continued existence. And this is the reason why we're doing it. I mean, I don't put ads on the videos so that, for example, I can, go out and buy my own car or come to work in my horse carriage or something like that. We invest every dollar we make in the show, and we will continue doing that in the future. And I know and I understand that there's people out there who don't like that, but we hope you can live with the fact that you might need to see an advertisement in front of a video from time to time. This general situation on YouTube has a few more ramifications which are emblematic of how these big platforms work in 2019. I mean, the writing on the wall for a lot of these things that we're dealing with right now as content creators, but also you as users out there, I think we talked about these things already in 2014, but then, back then it was, I think, more hypothetical. But now we are at this point where, a lot of these platforms are effectively gatekeepers. They played along so that we could build our audiences. And I mean, we have, several 10,000 people that follow us on Instagram or on Facebook or on Twitter. We have, over 1 million people who are subscribed to this channel. But funnily enough, these platforms are also now the middleman that stands between us reaching you with the content we produce. And that's not only YouTube videos, that's also, for example, posts we put out on social media, because these have an educational value as well. And increasingly what is the case is that these platforms say, hey, your post is really doing very well and you reach a lot of people from your community, 10% of your community. What do you think about spending another 15 to 25 euros so that your entire community sees this post? Which is actually, literally what Facebook says when you post something. And this is where yeah, I'd rather invest that in, for example, another license for an historic image from an archive, or in, an extra hour we can spend editing, or I would even rather invest it in a crate of beer, actually. Can you believe that? So what we have thought about is, how can we deal with this? We have this community and we have these platforms out there who basically, they want their palms greased so that we actually reach all the people out there who are interested and already expressed interest in our content. And we actually, we didn't reinvent the wheel, but we did go back a bit in technological history, and we came to a thing that is almost 50 years old by now, the email. So if you want to, and it's totally optional, but if you want to, you can subscribe to the Great War newsletter now. The URL is here. What is the Great War newsletter? Once a month, it's an email that gives you some updates over what's happening with us and with the channel. It will give you the links to the latest videos, which is, by the way, something that YouTube also sucks at now, because even though there is a subscribe function, it apparently doesn't work anymore as it's intended and doesn't notify the people who are subscribed that actually want to be notified about the videos. Anyway, there's links to the videos in the newsletter. We will also put our sources in there. We will write some smaller articles for the newsletter, let you know what's going on. And what we will also do in the newsletter is tell you about, dramatic changes should they ever occur, or maybe about a new project that we're launching. There's actually a big project, can't say much about that, but there is a big project that we will hopefully unveil in early September. So if you are interested in this and rather read this in a compact HTML formatted newsletter rather than listening to my sick German accent on YouTube, you can subscribe to the newsletter, and we will occasionally, and by that I mean about once a month, inform you about what I just outlined. Also, a lot of thanks to all the people who stuck with us now that we changed the channel concept a bit. When we announced that we actually thought that the World War I lasted longer than most of you learned in school, we got a bit of skepticism and some criticism that we are just milking the cash cow. Maybe we can put a note here that says what kind of cash cow is a history channel on YouTube. Anyway, the thing I wanted to say is that some people said, hey, this seems desperate and anything, and then Jesse came on board, and that people are just generally really scared of change, I guess. But recently and over the last few months, I think people really came around to it. We get a lot of positive feedback. The numbers are going up for the channel. A lot of people have joined over the past few weeks, actually. And now that we are talking about it and really show how much fighting there was and how much there was no peace in Europe and in parts of the rest of the world, even after the Treaty of Versailles was signed, I think a lot of people start to understand that it's a good case that World War I lasted a bit longer than 11-11-18. So with that being said, there's more great content to come. As we said earlier, we're going to do this till 1923/2023. And yeah, there's some cool stuff coming. There's more stuff about the Russian Civil War. If you can believe, it gets crazier in the upcoming weeks and months. We will cover the Irish War of Independence. We will try to have a look at other parts of Europe, Southeastern Europe. We have another look at Italy. You name it. We will even have an episode where we put in a lot of smaller topics where we for various reasons can't fill in a whole episode with it. This will, for example, include the Third Anglo-Afghan War, which was going on 100 years ago. Actually, I think today, 100 years ago, was when they signed the peace treaty. So it's going to be exciting, and it's going to stay exciting. Covering these conflicts is a bit tougher than the big power battles, the 1914-1918 period. Mainly because only recently, historians started to produce coherent histories of these regions for over, the stretch of more than just the 14-18 period. There's a few books out there. I will put some links in the video description. There are some books out there who, for example, deal with, the Ottoman Empire up until 1923, or with Eastern Europe or Southeastern Europe specifically, even from 1912 to the 1920s. Because these post-1918 years are important for the region, but there's fewer sources that put all of that together in a coherent source, like, for example, Martin Gilbert's The First World War, which we used for the 1914-1918 period. Also, while a lot of commercial archives and also some of the public archives have done great strides to get their archives nice and shiny for publications and documentaries like ours that want to cover the 1418 period. When you come and slide into the 1919, 1920, 1921 period and you are looking for specific images of sub-conflicts of the Russian Civil War, for example, it gets much more complicated, and you need to look at more archives, more different places to find the sources you're looking for. Why am I telling you this? Well, first of all, it's another reason why we're only uploading 2 times a week now, which most of you I think are fine with. Another reason why I'm telling you this is that, moving forward, there is good reason why we need your continued support. The Great War, as I already said in the beginning, can only exist because of your support on Patreon, or if you buy our merchandise, or if you buy our books through our Amazon stores, or if you click the YouTube join membership button below this video. Actually, that also works. There are all these ways to support the channel, and we are grateful for everybody who's doing so. And please, if you are new to the channel, or if you think to yourself, hey, actually this sounds good and is worth my support, then please support the channel and support an important but often overlooked part of 20th century history that we will continue to bring to you out there in YouTube land. And I think now I have rambled for about 10 or 15 minutes. It's very late in the afternoon already. I will drink my cold coffee now. And when this video goes live, you can ask me questions in the comments and I will answer them. See you.